don't mind tonight. Play for Ava.
Depends. Will your friend, the footballer, be there?
Oh, friend, football friend.
Oh, what a superb goal! Stefan, that is extraordinary from Ben Garuccio.
And welcome back to another episode of Football Friends with Ben and Stef. This is 2 or 3 weeks on the bounce now. We've actually got it done.
I don't know, but we're fucking flying. I spoke to Chiefy after the game. He came over and he said, it's great that you and Steph are doing the podcast. He said, I don't listen to too much media because probably, I don't know why, he's probably sick of it. But he said, it's great that you guys are doing that anytime I've ever seen clips. I said, listen, we always speak quite highly of you.
Chiefy. Of course he's going to come over and say that when they've just fucking beat you 2-0 as well. If you lost,
Yeah,
he would have
exactly.
said, stop fucking saying my tactics are no good, yeah?
But to be fair, we actually have always spoken highly about him. I said, because I was speaking to one of the players when he walked off, I said, he probably thinks I'm just fucking pissing in his pocket. But we actually do, we've always kind of liked the way he speaks and his views on the game.
Yeah. No, I think it's weird. Like, if we had the current coaches and we were in the AFL world or the NRL even, there would be so much spoken about them and like dissecting them in a good and a bad way because they've got so many talk shows to talk about them with NRL 360 and the AFL 360. Like they got to talk about something. But Griffiths, Valkanis, obviously Chief, he's been one of the ones that I think he gives away a lot, which can be a good and a bad thing because you can actually then maybe be like, well, you've said this is what you're trying to do and it's not working. So why isn't it working? Is it you or is it the players? I actually saw someone speak about that, Liam Rosner from Chelsea, and said that he's going down the path of Amorim where he explains so much in the interviews that it actually can set you up for failure. Even though it sounds really good at the start, it's like you're giving so much detail. It's like, but that's not now what we're seeing on the pitch. So yeah. I guess you can't win though, can you? Like you literally can't win in the media.
Well, and they always need something to talk about, and they will talk about it, whether it's something big or something small. If there's nothing in the news that week, then they'll end up pinpointing something, and it might be a pretty irrelevant talking point, but they have to talk about something. So it's tough for a coach.
Yeah. It's but it's good. Like I would much prefer them to be more, I guess, characters, because I think like now with like media, yes, it's obviously you get on channel 9, 7, 10, but if you're like consuming any type of media, even now kids, I understand with the social media ban, I'm sure they're still bypassing that, but like our attention span's so small. So for you to actually have the attention, it needs to be like, all right, if I'm going to listen to an actual press conference, I need to just get a snippet of it and it needs to be funny or I need to be interested in it, it needs to be controversial. Like that's literally the only thing that people are going to listen to. And then because of that, you might be like, you know what, I'm actually going to watch the game this weekend. Like I think that's like the next Adelaide United Melbourne Victory game. I'm sure Victory are going to be thinking, fuck these guys, like got one over on us. Not fair. Dillis isn't happy and all of this, talking about how Mata, you see him as a guy and he never reacts, but he reacted to that and they've come out with this statement, which we'll talk about later. Like you're like, all right, I gotta watch this next game between those two. So the more they can give, the better. But anyway, going on to your game before we talk about me and my trips away. Disappointing, really. Losing at home.
That's all you've got.
Not good.
Just disappointing.
It's just disappointing, especially Auckland dropping points.
Yeah, it was disappointing. And this is what I always say. I fucking hate having games in hand. Like, I'd rather just have the points on the board. Yeah, maybe you've played a couple of extra games, but I feel like we've been in this position a few times now, and it's like every time you kind of see results go, the other way, and it looks like, if we win our game that we could be clear top, then we just aren't able to put together a performance. And it was a little bit frustrating, the game. Obviously, being back at Allianz for the first time this season was a massive opportunity, and we obviously want to make that place a fortress and try and get as many fans as possible. But with results like that, it doesn't help. So it is what it is. Obviously, you get a red card in the first half, and it's always going to make life tough. You concede 2 set pieces, which again isn't ideal. The first one you kind of can't do much about, but at the second one, I think we can defend it a lot better. And then it's just an uphill battle. But for me, Wellington, they came out, they were hungrier at the start of the game. They put us in a position where we get a red card because they're being positive. So I think you gotta take away the positives that you kind of can take away. and then we just got to build on that because we've got a lot of games at home from now to the end of the season, and we've got to try and make that place a fortress.
Yeah, and it was a pretty good crowd. Like obviously, I don't know what the weather was like, but I saw some people say just before kickoff or an hour before, like it was raining the day before. Obviously, in Central Coast, the game got called off, so it seemed like it was sunny during the match. But you maybe would have got a bigger crowd if that wasn't the case. 13.5 or close to 14,000, I think is a pretty good crowd, right?
Yeah, I think they'd usually be hoping for around 15. I think the rain, to be honest, probably people pulled the pin before because it actually did get sunny, but it was probably the worst rain I've seen in summer. Our courtyard outside got flooded. So
Really?
it literally rained for 24 hours, basically full on.
Yeah.
And then that morning it was still pouring down. And then it kind of just cleared up for the game, which was good. Obviously, at least the groundsmen at Allianz, they've done their job. They've earned their cash because it was for drainage issues that were off it for so long. So they've obviously they've done a good job.
They obviously spoke to the powers above and said, "Listen, give us a tester first up. We want to know is this worth it or not? Because we've fucking screwed
was
Sydney
good.
FC over. Was it good?
Yeah, it was good. I think it can still be a little bit shorter, but I think I've played at Allianz plenty of times where the pitch hasn't been in great nick, but it was really good. Can't complain at all.
Yeah. Obviously, just need the results at home to get fans. Like that's as much as which again we'll talk on the other crowds later, but the only way to really get more people there is winning games. Like yes, you can still do a lot of marketing. That's just standard, obviously, but when you win, you get a good feeling. Like if you go to a game, like even as a fan, if we were going to games, like when you win the game, you've got the roar of the crowd for scoring a goal, the winning feeling that you leave with, and you're like, I'll go back next week. That was good. Well, if you don't get to celebrate, like you guys didn't score, it's like, well, 10 men, it's
Yeah.
probably like the worst possible game you could actually have to be like, yeah, that was good. I'm going to come back next week. But not saying it's going to stay like that forever, but it's just one of those ones that you win games and more people are going to come.
Yeah, it is. And you know what? We've got such a draw card because it's in such a good location. It's central. People actually, it's really easy to get to. It's so accessible. You see that there's the SCG right next door as well. And there's things to do around there. So it's actually a perfect location. Now we just got to make sure the results are there. And I'm sure they will be. I think it was just a bit of an anomaly kind of game. When you get a red card, you're already down. It's always going to be really, really hard. The second goal was a bit of a dagger in the heart, but look, it is what it is.
Yeah.
On to you. How are your holidays going? Another weekend trip away. Footy's still off. You look like you're nice and relaxed.
Yeah. Orlando had his first day at daycare today, so I had a few more hours to relax as well.
Any golf?
No, they close on Mondays until 2 p.m. So
That's stinking. Send him
bit
at 2.
annoying. Yeah, well,
bring him in at 2.
every other day is going to be perfect. I was saying to Carla, like, it's good if I'll drop him off at 8 o'clock, or he can get the bus from here once he's more comfortable. They've got a school bus that goes around because it's in the same precinct, like, but it goes to all the different like apartment blocks and picks up all the kids. And I was thinking, like, all right, if I drop him off at 8 at the bus, then I've probably got like 3 hours of golf, so I can go.
That's unreal.
I could literally go with what they've got here. I can go obviously to the range first, practice. I've still got to learn how to use the driver and what is it, fucking 3-wood or whatever. Learn how to use that, but then I can literally practice at the range for a good 45 minutes. Then I can go to the putting area, then I can go to the chipping or the bunkers, and then go and play 9 holes. And that would probably take me a good 3 hours. If I do that every day, like, I'm going to be getting good.
That's a dream. Yeah, well, in a few years, once we retire, we can just start a golf YouTube channel, and we can we'll bin the football friends.
Fuck, what's the geezer's name? He's got a weird name, but he's
Grant
gone massive.
Horvat.
Nah.
There's so many of them.
He's at Live Golf. The Champs. Fuck.
Oh,
whatever
Bryson
his name is.
DeChambeau. Yeah.
Bryson DeChambeau.
Yeah.
He's asking for 500 mil to stay with Live Golf.
Just give it to him.
He's making cash from YouTube, and I saw the thing that was saying, like, he literally he said to the PGA, I don't really want to come back because obviously then he needs to pay the money back. They won't let him do his YouTube, so he's like kind of threatening Live Golf to stay. I want 500 million, and obviously he gets to do his YouTube, but he's like, even if Live Golf don't do it, I could just go hard and just do YouTube golf.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
and it's like, what a position
so
to be in.
It's so good to watch, though.
Yeah, it is.
Good
Yeah, it
content.
actually is. I was watching him the other day. It's just it's a good sport. Like, it is, when I finish, that's literally golf every day, Paddle
dream.
ball. I played paddle. That was good in Bali. I actually really enjoyed that. Slow maintenance. Play some paddle. Maybe do a bit of radio in the afternoon or some coaching of like a school team for a bit of fun, and then that's it. Time with the family.
I would just do golf. I just play 36 holes every day.
Nah, paddle's good.
Until
You got to get in. You should go. There'd be there's heaps of paddles in paddle courts in
just
Sydney.
never played. I've never played paddle, never played pickleball, and I know that they're both getting huge.
Yeah, I played pickleball the first time here the other day because it's massive in Vietnam, and it was good. Like it actually was really fun. But you should go and try paddle. Like even it's like all footballers obviously play it in Europe and everything, but it's just like you don't actually run that much. There's a bit more to it, but like so much easier than tennis. The competitive side of it, like less strain on the body. I'm sure we're going to be sore once we finish playing, and our fucking knees and ankles and whatever else. So anyway, that's enough of the retirement talk. We've still got another 5 or 6 years in us, and the people don't want to hear about what we're going to do when we
No.
retire. And that's all going that we've actually got enough money to fucking live. Because if we don't have any money,
Yeah, I was gonna say I'll be a janitor or something at this stage.
Yeah.
So
you'll be
It is what it
the
is.
groundsman at fucking Allianz, getting the drainage.
yeah, I'll make sure the drainage is good.
Or working at a golf course. That's what I was watching last night. Fucking, what's it called? Fucking the golf. What's it called? Something swing.
Full swing.
Man, full swing. Imagine being a caddy.
Yeah, I
Fuck,
know.
what a gig.
I know.
Although it'd be shit because you actually can't play at that moment they're playing, but what a gig
Maybe
that
you're
would
right.
be.
Because it's just like, look, you just want to hit this club and you want to hit it there, and then when they fuck it up, you say, well, "Fucking hell! I told you to hit it there, not over there. Not my fault."
It's like it's actually like it's a joke that as a gig there'd be a lot of pressure and you need to get along with the people. It's probably more about relationships, but fucking hell, man, 10% of the earnings if that's what it is. If you're with fucking Scotty Scheffler, whatever the fuck his name is,
Yeah, it'd be a
Stupid.
dream.
um,
Let's get back
But
to
yeah,
footy.
onto footy, onto the big stuff. And there was a little bit of controversy last week off the field that was with my Reds that I think you wanted to talk about, right?
Yeah, well, I wanted to ask you, obviously, Josh Cavallo came out with the comments last week, they were very stern and harsh comments. He was obviously came out and fair play to him for everything that he's kind of gone through and been brave enough to come out and be himself. And for me, from the outside, obviously I've got no idea, but I always thought Adelaide United were really welcoming to him and really accommodating to him and really embraced him in that time when he did come out. What was it like for you to read those comments last week? Obviously, you shared a change room with Josh. You were at Adelaide United for a long time, and I'm sure you kind of saw how that all unfolded during that time. What was it like for you to read those comments, and what were your first thoughts?
Yeah, I think firstly you're a little bit like, yeah, you're just taken back by it because you question yourself like straight away. I was like,
You were there, right? So you'd
Yeah,
be
yeah,
like,
yeah.
well, fuck,
Oh,
did I do
yeah.
something to...
And I think I'm sure every player kind of thought like that, and every coach was like, fuck, like he's saying this stuff. But when he left the club, he put out a statement saying, thank you to Adelaide United. You were the club that allowed me to kind of come out. So I don't really understand like the backflip on like one thing to another. And then straight away you do question and be like, wow, did we do something wrong? And I spoke to like multiple players about the comments about his partner, and I was like, I didn't remember seeing anything in the WhatsApp, like our team WhatsApp group, anyone saying anything. So of course maybe it could have been in that period when I wasn't there, but I don't think that was the case because everyone that I asked said that they don't really know what he's talking about. And again, I can't comment for every single person and for exactly what happened if I don't remember it, but from my knowledge and from every player that I spoke to, they don't remember seeing anything. I think we try to be as inclusive as possible. And to be honest, like your sexuality, your religion, the country you come from, it's never a spoken about thing in football as like, that's why you're playing, that's why you're not playing, that's why we're inviting you out for a night out or not. It's like you're part of the team, you're part of the team. Like, that's just the reality of it. If we have a team event, everybody's invited. If we have something that's, about team selection, of course you're going to be pissed off at coaches. You're going to be pissed off at people because you should believe in yourself. But I don't ever think that was the reason why he was ever not selected, because, yeah, you see him, and Craig Goodwin was pretty stern with his comments that he came out, and I remember multiple times that happening where he went to the Australian Open or Mardi Gras and he had made a reason as to why he couldn't come to training, and then you find out that he's gone to these events. And if that was any other player, there could have been a punishment. And I think Carl Viet and the club were very accommodating around that, where they wouldn't be with other players, to be honest. And I know that annoyed some players in the team because they were like, he's getting a different treatment. Why is he allowed to go and do stuff outside of football and miss training? So I think there's that aspect to it. And then it's also, I think, a little bit disrespectful to the teammates that were playing in his position to say, well, the only reason you were playing is because, Josh is gay. And that's saying that he deserved to play over his teammates. And if Josh wasn't gay, he was going to play over them. I don't think that's fair on those players that were playing in his position as well. And then lastly, as like a club perspective, I think, the club's in a really bad position now, because once this goes out, everybody's going to question it now.
Yeah.
The club can't come out and hammer him. They can't come out and say, no, this was 100% wrong. These comments are wrong, because obviously you don't know every single conversation that's happened. But the way he spoke about it was like it was the whole club, that we have a problem at the club. And that's not the case at all from what I was aware of. Obviously, we're one of the only clubs that does the Pride game with Victory. I flew last year on, a day off to go to a launch event of this. Other people we've taken up, education on this, which they do with the Pride round or the Pride game. So I don't feel like that's a problem. And then just lastly around, like, Josh, we tried to do whatever we could with him. There was multiple. I remember I had people at my house, or my mum's house. Everyone's invited. He was the one that didn't want to come. I think our Mad Monday at the end of the year and certain things, like, he just didn't want to come with us. So that was, not based on us not making him feel welcome. Because earlier in the season, when we went for a team dinner, nobody's partners were invited. Josh came. His partner ended up kind of meeting us out, and like, that was not a problem. We'd never said it was a problem. And then we were going to go somewhere else. And we said, you know what, let's go to Mary Poppins, which is, I guess, a club known for a lot of gays going there. And we were like, you know what, let's go. Like, for us, it's not a problem to go there. If it makes Josh feel more, I guess, comfortable, we're happy to go there. So, like, I just don't really understand how you could be more welcoming around anything. Yeah. And that's probably the disappointing thing.
Yeah, and they're just such serious allegations. I think that's the problem with it. Like, and once it goes out, obviously he does have a massive following now, and when something like that goes out, for people that aren't educated or don't maybe know the ins and outs of it, they're immediately going to be like, what the fuck? Who is this? Adelaide United? Who's this club? I'm not supporting them. And I think that's kind of what it does to the club. And I think, everyone's responses were just as stern. I saw Travis Dodd came out. Craig Goodwin as well was very stern in his comments. And obviously Adelaide did host the Pride Cup game again, which, if we go to that, was an absolute fucking cracker of a game. Probably, I would say, one of the best games in recent times in the A-League. Just everything that it had, and the atmosphere. Fucking hell, how many people I've said on social media talking about that was probably one of the best atmospheres they've ever seen at Cooper Stadium. Yeah, no,
it looked unbelievable. And I think there was probably a bit of a worry from the club in the lead up to that game because of everything that happened. Yeah. And normally that's one of the biggest games of the year. Like, normally you're expecting 12 to 13,000. If you get close to a sellout, obviously it's really good. But because of everything that happened, and then to sell it out like the day of the game, was unbelievable. And then you couldn't have scripted it any better. Like, I actually think Victory, which we'll touch on again, the decision from the official, but I think Victory played really well. I think Adelaide were good and they still looked dangerous, but I thought Victory actually played pretty well and were the dominant team. They probably didn't capitalize on that. It wasn't even clear-cut chances, but it was that final pass or decision in the final third, which is the most important. But it's such a good spectacle when the crowd's full and the stadium's obviously the right size, and does that maybe straight away when you turn on a game, you see it's full and you notice something is it like your brain almost telling you it's better than what it is sometimes? Because maybe the quality of the Melbourne City Auckland game was just as good, but you see 5,000 people and it looks stinking. Like that maybe is a part to play in it, but it was just, the first goal from Goody.
Well, that changes the game though, right?
Yeah.
Like, especially when you're playing at home in a massive game against Melbourne Victory. And maybe I thought Victory were pretty good at the start of the game, but then that goal, it just changes everything. And fucking hell, what a goal.
Yeah.
Like the way he's taken it, the nutmeg, and then the finish.
Was it Esposito that he nutmegged, I think?
Yeah.
He's just come in but you know what the thing, I know it's easy to say but Goody, I know he's left-footed, but he always chops
He
like
loves
that.
the chop in.
A lot of times he'll chop like that. So it's like, I get you don't want to just give him a free shot on his left foot there, but also it's like, probably one of those ones where maybe an experience, if you had a Miranda, maybe he's not getting done like that. But either way, it was absolute class in the finish. And probably he needed that, I think, Goody. Like he's maybe not got the numbers that he normally would expect at this time of the season. So hopefully he can kick on from here. And
hit the post as well, didn't he?
Yeah. Just after that, he hit the post. And Adelaide still looked dangerous, but I just felt like watching that game, it did look like, if there's any team that's winning this, it's probably his Victory once they got their goal back into it. They've just got a really good squad, Victory. Like, I think that's the thing. Like, I couldn't believe how many games they went not scoring because of how many good attacking players they've got. And then the decision by the officials, like when that went in, I think the biggest telltale sign is like nobody was complaining, right? Like,
I don't even I think maybe the goalkeeper kind of afterwards, it was like almost like a token, like, hey,
like he probably saw the replay and thought, he was in my way. But
let's be honest, no keeper in the world saving that.
That's the thing. And I get like people are saying, well, it doesn't matter, the rules are the rules. I get the rules are the rules, but it's also like, well, VAR was brought in for absolute clangers and things that are just like the worst decisions that are there that you need to change. Nobody would have complained about this on social media, I don't think. There would have been the old Adelaide fans saying, oh, it should have been offside. But realistically...
Are you saying if they didn't change it? If they didn't overturn it?
Yeah, if they didn't change it.
Like, for me, if it was Jelacic, wasn't it, that was in front?
Yeah.
For me, if he's right in the line of where Grimaldi's shot, I could kind of be like, oh, you know what? Like, the keeper actually couldn't see it. But he's stepped out of the way. Yeah, he was in an offside position still. But he's completely stepped out of the way. He's basically in the same line as the defender. It makes no difference to the goalkeeper.
It was actually...
I just don't understand it.
I think it was Vreens or Kikianis. I don't know. Whoever went to block the shot, they were actually the ones that was blocking, like, Smits' view.
Yeah.
Jelacic...
But that would be every single goal,
Yeah,
though.
yeah, exactly. Like, so, I don't know. I just think... As soon as they went to it, I thought, surely not. And then the more I watched it, the more I was like, nah, you can't give that. Like, you can't say definitively, and this is also due to us not having the camera angles. You didn't have the exact view of what it was like from Joshua Smits behind the goals. So you don't actually know where his line was. You're just guessing that Jelacic was here. The ball was there. So I think his vision would have been impaired by Jelacic. But you don't know 100%. So how are you overturning a decision? That's what I can't understand. And even the thing that probably frustrates me, and maybe like we're also responsible for this as well, is that we say, oh, the A-League officials, they're shit. It's not the A-League. It's actually worldwide. Look at during the week. You had the Semenyo one with Manchester City and the Newcastle game with the semi-final. Shearer's losing his head about that. Everybody was losing their head about it. There's decisions in every, like the referees here in Vietnam, in Japan when I was there, I'm sure for you and Scott, like, it's hard everywhere.
The 23s.
The 23s. Like, I just think VAR, all it does is it creates more uncertainty because you're watching something multiple times. You then, as the pundits at home or the people talking about it, gives you a talking point and you watch it another 10 times. And then if you watch something enough, you kind of, I can see it from this way, I can see it from that way. And that's where I think it's just made it harder for referees. And there's no positive in the game from VAR. Like, and even this decision, which you don't think should have been, Like, you look at the Arsenal game, I've got to bring them up again. Like, for me, that's a clear handball. Like, his arm swung towards the ball and moved it to keep it in. It's a penalty, but they haven't given it. And then there was, I think, the Dalot red card in the City Man United game. Like, for me, again, that was like a worse tackle than Yuli. He didn't give it a red card. And I'm like, so, well, what's the point in even having this? Because you can say it balances out on over the season, but sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it does. And it's just like, we talk about it more because of VAR. So why do we actually insist on having it? Like, no one's actually benefiting from this.
Yeah. Or you just have they've got like the automated offsides.
Yeah.
And even the offsides for me, like, I think it's such bullshit that like a player could be coming back this way, like the defender is going towards his own goal and the striker's actually coming away from the goal and they're like just a hair offside and it's offside. It's like he wasn't even running towards goal. Like different if he's gone and scored from it. He's like coming back to bounce it and then they've gone and attacked and scored and that's offside. For me, like there has to be some little room for error. Like I know Wenger came out and said like it should be the whole body, maybe not the whole body, but it needs to be significant. It shouldn't just be that, you know, this guy's shoulder was slightly past the line like that. That for me is not offside. But
we want goals in the game, and that's where I think like
goal
the Wenger
line decisions as well.
Yeah, goal line decisions, or like literally like blatant like. Just trying to think of like Diego Maradona, the hand of God, like things like that.
That's what they've kind of said, haven't they? They've said that it's meant to be, you know, it has to be howlers, whatever it is, but it's not. Let's be honest, they check it for everything.
They're constantly checking it, like, and it slows the game down. It slows. As a player, sometimes you score and you're like, I celebrate, but now you're like, fuck, like I'm not actually sure.
I've had so many of them.
Yeah, like you just don't really know what to do now. And then you kind of half celebrate again. And it's, I don't know. I still can't understand why it was brought in and why it's still kept here when pretty much every footballing person doesn't want it. But anyway, that's a topic for another day. And then for Adelaide to go and win it the way they did.
What a fucking header.
You know what actually kind of pissed, well, you know, the one thing that pissed me off about it, and it sums fucking Kiddo up, he should have lost his head. Like, that's a proper... I don't know if he was on a yellow card, but that's like...
He's giving it these ones.
Yeah, it was like kind of like, just scored in a five-a-side game, like, in training. Like, come on.
It was scenes, though. I loved how everyone was just sprinting in different
nobody
directions.
Knew where to run. Kits should have been, like, running into the Red Army with his top off. Like,
if he ran into the Red Army and jumped up onto the barricade.
I know it's not about him, and that's not him as a person. He's never been like that. But, like, it should have been about him because it was a fucking ridiculous header. He had the goal that was offside for Goody just before that, which again was kind of one of those ones like, yes, it was offside, but anyway, is what it is. So like, for me, you got to take in those moments because you couldn't have had it scripted any better if you tried to before that match. And I think is definitely made it 100%. It's the best place to play football. Yeah. And I think over the last maybe 5 years, 6 years, I don't know what it is, seems like there's just always drama in the games at Coopers with Adelaide United. Like there's either lots of goals, there's crazy decisions, last minute winners, howlers, whatever it is. It's the best, like for a Friday or a Saturday night game especially, they have to play in that time slot every single weekend for their games.
But how much does the crowd actually play a part in that? Because you've got a big crowd that's, you know, they're booing or they're getting on the back of the ref. Like, you just don't know. But for me, if I was to picture the A-League absolutely thriving, I would just picture Coopers. Yeah. Because it's just like that for me is like Australian football thriving is exactly that. Teams having those types of stadiums, those types of crowds, week in, week out. You had the Pride Cup, the flares going off before the game. It was fucking unbelievable.
Even the tifo, like it's nothing special. It was just the colours, like the South Australian colours.
South Australia.
But like it just like if someone, let's say from South America or Europe, for example, was in Adelaide for that game and went to that game and had no knowledge of football in Australia, they would be like, "Fucking hell, you guys are crazy about football here. I never would have expected that." What an atmosphere! But then if you were at the Central Coast Macarthur game, you'd be like, yeah, they obviously don't really like football here, do they? Like, and that's just our biggest issue is our best is so good in this country and our worst is so bad. And that needs to somehow be fixed. And I don't know, like it's never always going to be perfect because you're going to have teams at the top, you're going to have teams at the bottom. I get that. But especially in the A-League and this year, everybody's so even. Anybody beats anybody that you could genuinely make a case for, well, we might win this week, so I've got to go to the game. And if you had, like you said, a Cooper Stadium equivalent, Perth is okay. I think it could be a little bit smaller, but it's okay. Central Coast is okay. It should be a lot smaller for them, but when they're doing well and for finals, they get okay crowds. You guys, obviously, Sydney FC, it's too big, really. Like when you actually look at the grand scheme of things, if you were getting 15,000 in a 40,000, it's not great. But if you're getting 15 in a 20, it's like it's
Perfect.
pumping. And I guarantee, you know what, you'll get 20 then because people will be like, that atmosphere was so good. Victory is the same as too big. City's so disappointing, and like I just can't understand like how a club of that stature with the resources and the success they've had can accept that and haven't actually tried to fix this problem, because when we were there, we were getting close to 10,000 every week.
I remember getting like 6,000 or 7,000 and the club was not happy. It's like they're getting like 5,000 to 6,000 now.
It's just horrible. It's horrible to look at. Like watching that, like that game was okay as well, the Auckland City game, but watching it with like no people in the crowd, like it just, the contrast again is so different. And I don't know how they fix this. The PFA, obviously, when they came out with their original report for the A-Leagues, 20 odd years ago, was about this. I think it was training facilities. It was football-specific stadiums. So we can't go back into the future. But if you built stadiums back then, it would have been a lot cheaper. Land would have been a lot cheaper. If you had these visionaries, when now they need to come up with the solutions, because it's only going to get more expensive. So in 20 years' time from now, you're going to say the same problem. Like Brisbane, they need the Perry Park to be done. If I'm an owner there, I'm somehow getting involved with that and making sure it happens. If the government's not going to pay for it, okay, get involved with I think it's the strikers that are there or whoever owns it, YMCA, and fucking put your money in and actually do it, because you're going to make so much more money from your club because of that. Like Adelaide would have made a killing from that game on the weekend.
Absolutely.
And that's just the difference of making big money and losing big money, and then also like the flow-on effect of it, like sponsorship. Like if you were a sponsor at that game and you had a corporate box, fuck, man, you're going to be like
next week.
Yeah, you're going to be like, yeah, we need to come back. And if they're playing Melbourne Victory again, 100% we're going. So do you up? I know you don't want to, but do you up the tickets a tiny bit for that type of game, or the corporate boxes for that type of game, because you know the demand's going to be there. So there's so much that can be done, but it's the Football Australia. I guess first thing that they need to do was get a CEO in. I know we're kind of jumping around here, but while we're talking about decisions, I thought it would be good to go into this. What's your make on Martin Krugler, I think it is? Kugler, sorry, coming in. It looks good on paper, right?
Yeah, well, they always seem to look good on paper, but the proof is in the pudding. And the proof will be decisions that are made in the future, and where the game seems to lie at the end of your reign. Because I think that should be anyone's aim as coming in, is hopefully the game's in a much better place when I leave than where it is now. And I think if it is, then you've done a decent job. So I suppose not really too much to say. I think everything that he's come out and said seems like he's a real football person. He's into the game and he's invested in it. Well, he's highly invested in it now anyway because of his position. But I think that's everything that you want to hear. But as I said, there's so much work to do. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, pretty similar, I guess. Like I think he went off script. He said, and he spoke about the Ollie Roos win against Iraq. That was the night before his announcement, and obviously, yeah, that he's invested. He's watching those games at whatever time it was in Australia, which is great. And of course, when you first come into a job, you've got to. And I think he's German, so he's got football in his blood. He understands the game. He worked at Stan, so he understands football. They've got the Premier League, the Champions League. Yeah, he understands it. And that's exactly what you want. Do they go in a different direction because of this? And with media and content, I think he was a chief financial officer as well earlier in his career. So he obviously understands finances, which for me, I still can't understand how Football Australia every single year seem to be making a loss when we have 1.9 million participants. And I know they're not taking massive money from each registration, but if they're taking $10 from each registration, that's 19 million. Plus you've got then the sponsorship. Plus you've got, obviously, when the Socceroos go to a World Cup, which we seem to be making every single one, the Matildas at the World Cup doing the success they've had. I know it's expensive, and our CBA agreement with the Socceroos and Matildas is very good. And, flying business class, staying at the certain hotels they do, the payments they get are very big. And it's maybe something that I think should probably be looked at to invest into the long-term game. But at the same time, like, how do we not have a home of football for Football Australia? And yes, you can ask the government for handouts. I get that. But surely there has to be some sort of like plan to get there rather than just asking for a handout. Like, have a 10-year plan of how you're going to build it, where you're going to build it. I don't care really where it is. Football Australia, I think their offices have been in Sydney, in Potts Point, or wherever it's been, like somewhere it's just irrelevant. Like, what, like, you should be the home of football in a training facility where you can see the grass, where you can see the young national teams or Football New South Wales, whoever it is training there. That's probably the one big thing that I think needs to change. And then connecting it somehow, which their job is to help the APL, to help the second division, to help grassroots football. So we'll see. It's again, like you said, sounds good. Maybe we need to try and get him on here for a chat. I know the PFA just came out with their report for the women's game and to make that professional. And you're obviously got a bit to do with the PFA by being a delegate. Has there been any more talks, I guess, around the CBA or about this latest report with the women's game being professional?
No, there's not been any updates on the current CBA, which I'm sure there will be updates in the coming months and hopefully to get it sorted very quickly. But no, they've obviously come out with this new vision for the women's game, which I think is always positive. I think the PFA are always pushing for the players to be in a better position, which I think is important and needs to happen. I think the way that women's football is going, it's only natural that they turn into more professional. It's already grown so much, but I think it's only going to keep growing, so that they need to be made professional. And look, I think there's going to be probably a similar thing as well for the men's, and a similar new vision coming out for the men's as well, which it's all positive. But at the end of the day, the most important thing is that the game here is growing, and everything else, that the PFA's vision, that we need to make that align, because we can say all of these things, but if the game is suffering and not in a good place, then it's very hard to make really big steps in terms of things off the pitch.
Yeah, no, exactly. So, yeah, it's interesting. And I think another interesting thing with football, where it just seems like things are going in all different directions. We've just had South Melbourne technically come back into the professional game and play their first game in the OFC Professional League, and score, I think it was the last minute free kick. I think it was in the last minute anyway, or close to it.
Great goal.
So a great way to win. But the thing that I just see, and it's so strange with this, is you've got New Zealand teams competing in our A League to, obviously it's great for them, but they can't compete in the Asian Champions League. And now we've got an Australian team competing in the OFC League, but even if they win it or they're the most successful, they're not getting a spot at the Club World Cup from this. So it's kind of a weird thing. Obviously, it's good for them to have players playing professionally and in a more of a serious setup. But this OFC League, for me, is the thing that's going to benefit the most is New Zealand football, because they're playing against teams from Fiji, Papua New Guinea, Solomon Islands, Tahiti, Vanuatu, and obviously the Australian team. The most successful team over the next 3 years, I think it is going to get the spot into the Club World Cup. So Auckland have done unbelievably well to win this, I guess, entry into this competition. And now they're going to win this, you would assume, and be up to, I don't know what the prize money is going to be by 2029. But just to get there, it was quite a few million, I think, for the Auckland semi-professional team. So then Auckland will send their best team to this. It's going to be interesting to see how much money they can make from this.
Yeah, it'll be huge. It'll be massive. And really, they should be the ones that end up there. Because who are they actually sending right now? Is it...
So it's
like,
literally...
is it Auckland City?
No, so
is
they've
it still
literally...
Auckland City?
They literally created a whole new team. So it's Auckland's Reserves is their name in the actual competition. So
yeah, right.
My mate that I was in Holland with, he's back in New Zealand now, and he plays for one of the other Auckland teams. He signed with Auckland Reserves to play in this competition. I saw that Tas Maracudis obviously that was at was it Marconi or one of the teams in Sydney. He signed there. I think he's captain, to be honest. So they've obviously just gone to sign all new players potentially. I think Gillian from the first team in Auckland was able to drop down because he's under 23s. So like they've literally just formed a whole new team, probably of the best players in New Zealand in Auckland that want to come and play in it, which is cool and it's great for them. But it's just it's just really strange. And I'm sure Wellington would be cooking that they didn't get accepted into it. And I think there was a few other New Zealand teams because in the last FIFA Club World Cup, I'm pretty sure, based on what I looked up, it was like $6 million New Zealand, roughly. I could be wrong with that.
Just for qualifying.
And the wins and stuff and everything that they got. It was total was 6.6 million. So imagine if they could win a few more games than what they did and get through. You never know. Like you're talking close to 10 million every 4 years for a club. That's massive money.
Massive.
And I don't know how they're going to distribute that with New Zealand football, but it will be interesting. So we'll see where that goes.
I know. Well, inside the mind of a pro for this week, Stef, and we've got a few options written down here. I wish everyone else could tell us. Playing through pain versus injury, confidence swings and form. Where should we go with this?
I think let's go the injury.
Playing through pain versus injury. Yeah. Well, I've never been injured, so you'll have to talk about this a little bit more.
Yeah. Made of paper you are. It's normally once you get to 30 it starts to happen, but for you it happened before that, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's been happening since I was 20, unfortunately. But playing through pain versus injury. I think, look, playing through pain, I would say week to week. Yeah. I don't know how it is for you, but I would say each week, it seems like after every game, there's a new niggle. And that's the hard thing, is actually learning about your body. And as you get a bit more experience and a bit older, you kind of do know, okay, this is, it's a niggle. I'll be fine. I maybe need an extra day to recover. I'll train this week. It should be fine. It's getting better every day. Or sometimes you also pull up from a game and you're like, yeah, I feel fine, but your calf's a little bit sore. And then you wake up the next day and it's more sore. And then it's like, fuck, do I say something? Do I not say something? I want to play next week. Where do you lie with it? Like, what type of player are you? Are you someone that says more to the physios, like, look, this is what I'm feeling? Or are you someone that tries to maybe see how it is for a couple of days and try to kind of hide it and get through it?
No, I think I've always been someone like, I feel embarrassed to say I'm like injured. I don't know why. I've always kind of been like that. Like if I've got, obviously pain is one thing, but if I have something, I kind of like, I'll get treatment if I can get treatment, but I'll just maybe go to the masseuse first and be like, oh, can you give me a rub here? Because they don't ask questions really. They just say, and you just be, just general tightness. I'll try and deal with it myself first, because I don't like saying to the physios, because then sometimes they're very conservative and they'll go to the coach, and then the coach comes and chats to you and says, listen, we don't want you to train today. And I'm like, I think the best thing to do is always train, but I can train at 60% or 70% just to get through it, because that is actually better for my body than missing sessions. So that's the way I've always been. And sometimes even like when you do get injured, I'm sure you felt like this before, you're almost in denial. You're like, I think I did my calf and it hurts, or my quad, but I'm not sure. So I'll keep trying. And that's the worst thing you could obviously do, because then you probably make it worse. But you're kind of like second guessing yourself, and you're like, fuck, did I actually? Nah, it must be all right. Must be all right. You're doing all the tests at home for the rest of the day. And then the next day, you're like, oh, it feels all right. You go to train and you're like, oh, fuck, this is not good.
Well, that's the worst part, is you think about it 24/7. Like every single thing that you do for the rest of that day, you're like, oh, can't really feel it. Or like I'm walking down the stairs, like, oh, it actually feels a little bit better now. Like maybe it's nothing. I'll just see. Maybe I'll say tomorrow that, it's feeling better, and I'll try and train. But I've had that, obviously you do your hammy, you know that you've done your hammy straight away. It's gone. You can't stretch. You've lost
I've never done
power.
a hammy.
Well, I've done a hammy, and that's how it feels. But you can have something like a calf. Like I remember we played you guys, not last season, the season before, and I got through the whole game, played well, felt good, Finished the game, and I'm like, fucking my calf's like a little bit tight. And it genuinely just felt like a tightness. And then I was like, yeah, it'll be fine, whatever. Put some ice on it. We had the day off the next day. I was just doing whatever. I was like, fuck, it's still like a little bit sore. Went to training the next day. I was like, it's still a little bit sore. Tried to train. And then instead of it getting better when you warm up, like this was getting like more tight. It wasn't like I could do everything, but it was just feeling tight. And then after the session, I was like, I don't know, something's not right. I went and got a scan. I had a grade 2 calf, and I was able to do everything, but it was just not getting any better. So I ended up missing 4 weeks. And it's like, it's one of those. It's always like you're on the line of like, do I say something and then I know I'm going to be out because I have to get a scan, or do I just not say something? But I feel like when you don't say something, then you go and play, and you can't hide in a game.
You can make, yeah, in a game. And it also, I think, depends on like the type of player you are, the position you play, the type of injury you have. Like if you have like a hamstring or a quad, it's pretty hard. A calf's maybe the one you can try and get away with, maybe like a hip flexor kind of one, a strain. Like the smaller muscles you can maybe, if you're not an explosive player, you might be able to get away with. Like I think then potentially, but like some of the other ones, it's like there's nothing you can do about it. And then like you're only going to make it worse. Like I've seen stuff where they talk about Ben White at Arsenal and say like, he's played through grade 2 injuries. And I'm just thinking, and he's like, he's a warrior. And I'm thinking, didn't say what like muscle it was. And I'm thinking, but how the fuck can he do like that's?
But
that's
I've seen that. I've seen that happen.
Yeah, like
as well. I don't understand it, because for me, it's like when I know, and I know next time I sprint or I try to do something, it's going to go, and I'm going to end up missing 10 weeks. But Hiroshi Ibasuki last season, he had a groin tear and a calf tear at the same time, and he was playing every week. And I'm just thinking, and he's obviously the least explosive player that's ever existed.
And he's come back to West Sydney, so good on him. I'm buzzing his back in the league. He's a top guy.
Great guy, great player. But yeah, he was playing through it, and I'm like,
slower than a wet week.
Yeah, he is slower than a wet week, but he was scoring goals, and I'm thinking, and I was like, I'd say to him like, yeah, how's the calf? And he's like, yeah, all good, no worries. And I'm like, what's wrong with this guy?
Yeah, I don't know if different players, like, it obviously feels different. Like thinking back then, like when I had my fractured like fibula, like I shouldn't have been playing with that. Like that was just like stupid, because it actually really affected the way I could play. And if I got a little knock on it, it was fucked. And then the next 2 or 3 days, like I couldn't train the whole week. Train a day before, maybe 2 days before if I was lucky, but no contact. Get a knock in the first 2 minutes and you're dust. And then you're limping for 15 minutes. And then you're like, all right, like it's okay now. But you're also like, I feel like, and you're probably the same, where it's like, if I can actually get out there, I'll play, because I need the coach to say, listen, you're not good enough.
Yeah.
Like for what you can actually put out on the field, I would prefer to play someone else. Then I'll be like, okay, like I'll take the time off. But otherwise, I would always just be like, you know what? I'll just play. Like same with when I'm coming back from an injury, like you'll be like, no, I want to play. I want to train. I want to do more. Like we've ticked this box. Let's tick this box now, because I'm feeling okay. And I know sometimes as the player, you do too much and then you get re-injured, and then the physio's like, see, I told you. But I hate when physios try and hold you back. And that's probably where it depends on individual players, because we've got I've had a player that I've played with an ankle. And for me, it's like, if you've got a sprained ankle, if you can actually put the weight on it and it's not swollen too bad, then you can play. Like, yes, it's uncomfortable and it fucking hurts, but you can play with that every single week. If it gets kicked, it's going to be a disaster. And the next day it's going to swell up and be terrible. But this player that I was with, like, didn't play for 3 weeks. And then came back and like, yeah, it's still sore. And like every time they miss a pass, they're like limping. And I'm like, for me, that's just being a bit of a pussy.
Just pick your ankle up and move on.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Like playing with pain versus playing with injury, that's exactly the topic. Like, you're always playing with pain. Like, I've played with pain this season. As long as I know that it's not something where I'm actually going to get injured from doing it, like playing with pain and being like, fucking hell, yeah, it's still sore. It doesn't feel great, but it hasn't gotten any worse. All right, no worries, play on. Take a painkiller, take some anti-inflammatories during the week, and you kind of just get through it. But that's also our job. And also, if you weren't complaining to the physios and if you weren't pushing the physios and telling the physios that you were all right, then you shouldn't be a professional. You shouldn't be playing because this is just part and parcel of the job.
We were not put on this planet to do elite sport at the end of the day. Like we weren't put on this planet to train the way we do, to push our bodies to the limit for the physical contact that we have like in this manner. Because when we go in the off season or when COVID was on, for example, and you have those long periods where you're actually not training football, you're just running or doing gym. Man, I feel $1 million bucks.
Yeah, you do.
Like my hips aren't tight anymore. I'm like, oh, I feel good. But like kicking a ball the way you kick a ball, you're not meant to. So the mechanics of that and the strain that puts on your body, even if you're not doing anything too extreme, like crossing the ball, shooting, like the force that would put through your body, fully sprinting every single day. Like we sprint every single day. Like nobody else sprints every day like that. I think they say once a week or once a month, you should do a maximum sprint to keep that, as you get older. We're doing it every day. We're doing it 5 times a day, multiple times, like plus the contact, plus trying to kick a ball. Like it's obviously not great for you. So you're going to feel shit, but it's like, well, yeah, just understanding it. I think Dylan McAllister, I remember him, like, I don't remember if you remember this, but we're at Melbourne Heart at, not Bundoora, at Epping, and he pulled out of a session like before it started because he just said, my hamstring wasn't good. And I think the coaches or the physios were a bit annoyed, like, nah, you're fine, you'll be all right. But I remember him saying, like, listen, like you've got to worry about yourself. At the end of the day, you're the player, you know your body and you know what's best for you. So if you don't feel good, don't train, because at the end of the day, if you do your hamstring or get injured, you're the one that's going to be affected most. And I just remember that, like, kind of sticking with me. I've just always been too scared to be like, oh, like, I'm not sure. Like, I'll kind of still push it too much. But it is true as well. Like, every individual needs to worry about themselves. And you can only really get it with experience, right?
Yeah, well, that's something that I've come to learn. Obviously, I've had a few soft tissues in the last couple of years. And at the start, I was very much like, no, it'll be fine. Just try and play through it. Just try and push through it. But, I was getting injuries that were 6 weeks, 8 weeks. Whereas now, even when I do feel something, or even if I've just felt something small, I kind of do like to let the physios know, because I'm like, look, they kind of know my history and they know that if I say I'm okay, because I've gotten to that point now. Whereas before, I just wouldn't say anything. I'd say I'm fine. And then all of a sudden, I've got an 8-week injury. So I think it's also trusting the physios, trusting the people around you, and them also trusting you and actually having an open and honest line of communication. And I think that's probably the best way to do it and to try and just manage yourself.
Yeah. And like, there's some players, I'm sure you've played with them, where they might need to miss the first 2 days of training. Like, and that's just the way it is. Like, other players, like when you're younger or different players, like Isaias, for example, guy was a machine. Like, never missed a training session. 37 years old, 38, like going 100 miles an hour every single session. That was him. There's other players I played with where it's like, you know what, like, he can't train those days because he won't be able to perform on match day, and performing on match day is the most important. So it's kind of everyone understanding that everybody's body is different, but also then, you need to worry about yourself because you're the one that's in control. So I think that's enough on that one. That's probably all we've got time for. But did we speak about the Ollie Roos?
No, we didn't. We spoke about the Football Australia. We didn't touch on the Ollie Roos. Obviously, they went out to Korea, which was a little bit disappointing. I think there was another howler VAR call in that game that we kind of touched on earlier. They won that game against Iraq, which we spoke about. Well, we were anticipating that game, and they did end up winning that game. And what a way they did it at the end of the game, scoring the 2 goals. And yeah, that was unbelievable. And I think that was what they needed after that shit performance against China. But then obviously they end up going out against South Korea. I just feel like,
which is not a bad result at the end of the day, right? Like, South Korea is, they're a powerhouse, but I think, is it a pass mark? Like, if you're looking at that, like, I think, again, obviously we know Tony Vidmar, but is it acceptable? Like, do you think that's okay for us, or do we need to be having the higher standards to be like, no, we expect to be going further into this tournament? Because they wouldn't have qualified for the Olympics, right?
No, I think it definitely is a pass mark, just because they did get out of the group, and I just think South Korea
missing a
and
lot
Japan,
of players.
I think South Korea and Japan are just miles ahead of us. It's just the reality of it. At every single age group now, when we play those teams, we don't seem to win.
Yeah.
The Socceroos, the first time they beat Japan in however many years was to go through to the World Cup. Like,
And that was Japan's third string team, and Japan smashed us.
they used to be
Yeah.
games where you're going in thinking like, no, we back ourselves. We're the best.
Yeah.
We're the best country in Asia, and I just don't think it's like that anymore. So I think for that reason, it is a pass mark because you've gone out to a team that I think is a better footballing nation than us currently, and they could have
don't
had
know
more out
how.
of the game.
I don't know how it's not like. I get, again, if it hits your body first and then hits your arm, I understand that, like, technicality of the rule, but this was not that. Like, if this hit his body and didn't hit his arm, he's potentially going through on goals, but he's also kicked him. Like, he's also just taken the player out. Like, he didn't tackle to win the ball. The ball just hit the defender almost. And, like, I just can't understand how you can overrule that.
Yeah, I just don't get how you give it and then you go to VAR and you say, you know what,
Like-
that's actually a howler. Like, that
Yeah,
is not
like-
a fucking howler.
It's pretty crazy. And you know what I want to actually do, and I don't know how we can do it, but it was, again, like, you had McAllister out there, right? You had Alagic. I'm sure there was other players where their parents had played, but I actually want to try and see if we can do not a top, like, it will be a topic of the week, but maybe an episode. Maybe we interview a Tony Vidmar, for example. His son was in the squad, and Richie Alagic, and
Dylan
Ocon.
McAllister. Yeah.
Dylan McAllister. Like, there's so many professional players from that era. Their kids are now playing. Like, there has to be a reason for it. So I would love to, like, maybe if we can interview them, even just briefly each, and try and find out, like, what are the clues? How did they raise their kids to make them professionals?
Is this just so you can then take that information and take it to Orlando? Is this just a fucking retirement plan?
Nah, it is.
How do I make
wouldn't
sure I
mind-
don't bottle that?
I might only have one chance at this. You never know. So yeah, I think not because of that. I'm just actually interested because if I look at all of those people, like we had Tony Vidmar. I know Richie Alagic well, as you do. Obviously, we know Paul Ocon. There's so many of these guys. Their kids are professionals, and they're all different characters. Like, I couldn't imagine, let's say, Tony Vidmar being in the backyard, like, smashing Kane and being like, come on, like, you've got to fucking do some extra. Like, I'm sure he was there to help him with his technique. I'm sure if he said, Dad, I want to go and kick the ball, he would have been out there with him, but he wouldn't have pushed him.
Yeah.
Then maybe you've got other people on the other end of the spectrum. Not saying Paul Ocon would have been like that, but he loves football. Yeah, I think he's got 3 or 4 boys, and they're all apparently very, very good. Like, I know he was sending him to Trefiro's football academy. So ask him about that, about why he sent them there. You know, why didn't he train them himself? Was there other academies? Then he moved to Europe. Like, I just think it's interesting. I just think it's really interesting to see, like, you know, success normally leaves clues. So what is it about these guys that have made their kids professional? Can we try and implement that more to make, not that there's going to be more professionals because we only have a certain amount of spots, but can we get the average player to a better standard because of that? And then the top players are going to be even better because they're pushed by better players. I just think it would be really interesting. And for Orlando.
Something we could do. And for Orlando.
You know.
We'll leave it there for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Another big week of football. By the time we get back, Steph, next week, are you playing yet?
28th is our first game. So next
28th,
Wednesday we play. So
yeah.
I'll have one more. I'll maybe do the next one in Malaysia. I was meant to be playing Zach Clough, but he's pulled the pin
He's
on
binned
Malaysian
it.
football, said it's too corrupt, and he's gone back to the Jets. So a big game for us. And you guys will have to do this on Tuesday because you're playing
We play Monday.
on Monday in the Australia Day game, which is always a massive one against Melbourne Victory. Or maybe we can film on Sunday, potentially.
I'll just bring the laptop on the side of the field.
Yeah. Yeah, you know what? Maybe we can do a pitch side one. I think it should be fine. Uffy's pretty good, right? About that type of stuff. So
He's pretty
won't mind.
relaxed.
What is it? Kyle Sandilands now, isn't he?
That was classic.
So
All right, guys. Thanks
All right.
for listening.
No worries,
in.
thanks
We'll
for
see you
listening
next week.